a girl up in this bitch. Call all you Aries. Down to come down from them high hills. With the rocket. Shimmy, shimmy, yeah, shimmy, yo, shimmy, yeah. I said, give me that mic so I can take it away.
The thing that knocked my socks off was when you did the script for Vinny and I for the AI conversation.
Yeah.
How a lot of what it did for my voice, for me, it really was very strongly in the style of how I speak. I often say three things, and I hate it because I've become so aware of it that when I'm making a video, I'll give an example and then another example and another example. So I can't just say something and give an example. For some reason, I have to do three. And it really irritates me that I have this sort of like foible. However, when I saw it in the script and it was maybe it's this or maybe it's that or maybe it's this. And then again, and I thought, wow, that's me. I really like it. I recognize myself. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think that's like going to your point that you were saying earlier, where there's these frame of reference, common source context that we could set up that pretty much a lot of people can understand, like a script format, like a TV show format or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you view it as a character and you're kind of like viewing and hearing the words and the thing differently, right? Than if, like, say you're listening to a podcast, right? You're listening, like, and you're judging on, like, how correct or whatever their take is or whatever like that. But this one is like, okay, well, that's kind of interesting that they said it this way. Because I remember when I did the first script, I was like, I like it, but I want to switch to perspectives of Bobdub and Vinny. And then once I did that, it was perfect. I was like, oh my God, this is so good.
Yeah. It was. I had that same experience reading them, Satori.
Uh-huh.
I read it and I thought, wow, this is really good. And then I read the second one and I thought, now this is really good. It is. It's crazy.
That's what we were saying earlier about, like, when we were like saying kind of like underestimating or not thinking things more complexly when engaging with, like, say, being like when you're getting something that's like, oh, not that good, then it's maybe you're not explaining as dynamically as you can what you actually envision, which is kind of interesting. Because I've been getting this experience where I'm asking Bing to, like, oh, describe this prompt in detail, and then, like, doing these summaries. Then I'm like, okay, I know how I could, like, change it so, like, I don't waste as much time explaining Bing how I want it to, like, say, for instance, draw the cards for the Toltec Oracle.
Mm-hmm.
So I have, like, I have Bing shuffling the deck and then splitting it and doing it correctly. It's so funny.
Does Bing have like? I noticed I haven't really made use of this yet, but let me tell you about my next new scheme.
Okay.
That's
okay.
probably gonna go nowhere because it's me, but I could see it going somewhere for someone like you. Are you ready? Like I'm definitely in the crowd of this kind of stuff, but this is something that if the right person grabbed a hold of, it would be like the next hit. And it probably already is a hit in some places. But I noticed that they have like a quick share link to the chat. And I'm this is something that's monetizable, because this is now way further beyond what I personally could process. So if you believed in a human, if you believed in a nephew or a niece or somebody that you were like, hey, this person is just bright, but they just can't, like, it's like they need like a certain oversight, or maybe they need a robot at their disposal. Well, all of a sudden you see that this thing expands on their ideas in a way that they just were blocked on before. Mm-hmm. And you might see, like, it's not like a linear thing. It's not like some people just needed that and then they're going to be as good as, like, some of your higher producing individuals in society. It's not going to be like that. It's going to be more like there's some people that have been just below average only because society has not built the tools for them to excel. Yes. And as soon as this thing expands on their linguistic, challenge or fault or whatever you want to say, like, it might not even be just linguistic. Like, eventually it's going to tap into other areas of life where, okay, this thing is more emotionally equipped than I am, so it can do my interviews for me. And certainly some bosses will care and they won't want to mess with that, but some people will be like, no, I only want to hire individuals who work with an AI who's emotionally intelligent, because it's way easier for me.
because
You know what I mean?
because they don't call in fucking hungover. You know what I mean? They put
Right. Yeah, it just tells me when they are or aren't available, or when their work isn't or isn't done, and it manages them for me. And the whole thing is that, like, I don't own that as a boss and exploit an individual based on how I see them faltering, but the individual owns this right now and can just simply, if society is starting to bridge those gaps for whatever reason, then you might find certain people that, like, we're so held back by the normal institutional hierarchy, power structures that nobody wanted to adhere to. We were just kind of stuck to, you know, from 2,000 years ago still.
Yeah.
And it just took some technological breakthrough, a lot like fire, you know, a lot like us being like, oh, hey, you rub these two sticks together, you don't got to worry about what's warm anymore. You don't got to worry about that guy telling you what's warm anymore. And so it's like that again.
You know that stuff that Minds Gaming has been doing with building a personal assistant on Friday? And he encouraged me to go and try and set up my own personal assistant with my own parameters. And I found, I mean, I haven't quite managed to get my head around that task because I've got stuck emotionally in, you know, in what do I want this assistant to be? The thing is that what I want the assistant to be is me, but without my weaknesses. I want to like code in like some way where, instead of being emotional about this issue, step back and see it from this and this and this perspective. Do you know what I'm meaning?
I do. And I'll tell you what, the best way to do that, honestly, because it's going to be so tough to objectify, it's either a lot of meditation or a Fitbit or like a wearable that can measure heart rate. And quite simply, we could do that where it's like, it starts to detect what types of triggers, or whatever word you would say, things that set you off into land.
You know what? Like
it just kind of grabs you to hold and says, hey, I would recommend that you just kind of take 5 minutes and think about it this way. And then all of a sudden, if you're navigating life 10 times better than the average person, I would say that you have something, you know, rather than nothing. That's something. That's something that no one would argue with. Everyone would.
Well, I've got one of those watches, Galaxy Gear, I think, watches. Yeah. So technically, I've got the ability. I could. It's got even a place where it records stress.
Well, so I think that we're in those early stages where I find myself doing this with the garden stuff, and I haven't ventured into like you're talking about. But what I find myself doing is, first for like a year or two, 6 months sometimes, you know, minimum, I'm like collecting data in a very rudimentary way where like you might look at your watch and say like, okay, I'm feeling my heartbeat, and you verify it, but then now you have to log it somehow. And that's what we're eventually wanting the machine to pick up on our own, because it'll start to all of a sudden realize how it could be your best assistant, you know, right from a biological standpoint, biochemical type of thing.
Yeah,
that's cool. You could already say like, okay, here's the conversation. But so first step is to wear it all the time. Second step is to take like normal data, regular data, every day, every hour, whatever it is. And then the third step is to say, okay, here's an event where I think I might be triggered, and then notice what at what point I can look down at my. It's just, see, we should be doing these things anyway, but we're in such a time where like this is how we're enamored. So let's just jump into it and say, well, now I can actually verify. People used to feel their pulse on their wrist, but I can just now look at this thing and see the little tick, and it's kind of calming to me. It brings me here and now. And so the next thing to do is to say, well, what made that spike? And now I write that down and I say, well, okay, the rudimentary way to do this is to now go into ChatGPT or Bing and just simply ask it and make it like a therapy session. You know, this is like a confidential thing. You might not want to share this with everybody, but so maybe people who are struggling with it would really like to see that you've quite simply just got over your shit with this robot. And that's, how awesome is that? Like to be in a time Like we used to have to do that with a human, and now we can just go through it with a full confessional booth.
Absolutely.
But-
And just be it
but
yourself.
can we?
You see
Well,
the
the other
opportunity
point
to do it.
I don't want to encourage you to get all your secrets in there, because the other point is, can we really right now? But
Well, what would be nice would be to have some sort of way of being able to do anonymous secrets, going on the idea that we have these big areas of overlap in our experiences. So if I'm experiencing it, then you're probably experiencing it too if you're in a similar situation. So to be able to just put the data in separate from who the person is that you're gathering the data from.
that's what priests used to be. But the whole idea is that corruption is the very essence of corruption, is that the code that a priest would live by has become corrupt by their own personal desire.
Yes.
And so then when they're hearing these confessions, they manipulate the community to their own benefit. But the idea was that a community had an actor that was detached from all those things, so that actor could be removed and detached rightfully and naturally from all these people's lives, and say, hey, if you just give 3 sheep to so and so because they lost their son to the war that you started, then everything's gonna be fine, and we don't need to know why or whose name. But that's gone now. And now, even if we do that with ChatGPT, it's not like NSH isn't listening, and all the other agencies are listening. So the point is that the old decentral technology, all that, was God. And I think that all this mass surveillance is messing with our sense for whether or not we're actually tuning into that, or if somebody's manipulating us. And at that point, we're kind of like stuck. It's going to be a breakthrough for all of us. It's a collective thing. I encourage you to take the first step. Good luck.
I'm dead keen. I'm just such a noob. I have no idea where to even start. Tell you.
Well, you're
so
still
keen,
in
but-
the process. I think it's not like it's not like the alchemist throws a firework in the pot and then it's done. It's more like through a lot of learning and changing in generations, education, new generations learning old tools and new uses for old tools. I think all of a sudden the answers become apparent, where it's like, so nobody just ever thought to ask this thing about, like, what were you saying it's called, Satori? Like the
Toltec Oracle?
Here we are in this age of decent technologies are kind of like making oracles more important. Like, it's not like we don't have oracles now. That's like when you go to a bank website and you trust that your transactional amount is what it says that it is, you're trusting that some institutions trust themselves enough to say that, like, how come my Bank of America change means something in Australia to some other bank? They all answer to this one oracle and they bow down to the money. But now everybody's bowing down to this like decent technology in a way where we don't have to answer to any one central person. So if you catch fire with what you perceive the world to be, then what's real will slowly capture the real value. And if we just understand that the other system wasn't wrong, it was just the best way to capture that value up to date, and we're always going to try to do that. And we're now in a new realm, we're in a new paradigm where we've now learned how to capture more of that value in a hyper accounting mechanism. That's always the question, is
Okay.
Shimmy, shimmy, yeah, shimmy, yo, shimmy, yeah. Time to come down from the hills and bring the ruckus. Grandchildren of the Grandmaster Wu-Tang Clan. Time to rise up, sharpen your swords. Tongues of silver and gold. Diamond teeth gonna weave the fabric of the next generations. I don't need your stank twat of verification. I got my own scheme of narcissistic validation. Long after you crash your ship, my feet will still be moonwalking. These diamond teeth will still be cutting. These vocal cords will still be wooing whores and fighting wars. What's a ghetto child to do but spend their time in the Wu-Tang spirit? You better fear it. Inspiration's only collared by the lack of collie buds. I give you the mic, ain't nothing but a thud. You and your M4s ain't nothing but duds. My round split time like Mach 19 grenades, cuz you talking about man up, cuff to fisticuffs. Your style is weak, while my words give rebirth to infinite Hiroshimas. Old dirt rising from up out of the ashes. cloaked in black, passing out fat stacks, spreading out wealth to sinners. Woo, where you at? Time to initiate a new round of beginners. Cypress crank on the DMT and now he thinks he's a winner. These streets gonna eat him up like a twice fried chicken dinner. Half-baked harvest gonna make you a star. Just stare at the horizon, you're gonna go far. We'll put you in a kung fu film clip. Like the Matrix meets through Where's My Car? Just a vision. Yeah, sure. You call it whatever you wanna call it. Just like that, with a thunderous fart and a gasp. Like David Blaine, old Dirt McGirt skipped back into time past. Hands full of shrooms and grass, on a journey through an ethereum jungle and he ain't paying for gas. It's the last chance to break through and get past the scared laugh. He jumps one more time in a trance as he hears his family calling. Agent Smith takes his shots, but the bullets keep calling. No, the bullet's spot on, it's his soul that keeps falling. He fell and he fell, even though his peoples kept calling. Oh baby, like it raw. Yeah baby, like it raw. Oh baby, like it raw. Oh baby, like you raw. That's how a motherfucker reincarnates. And motherfucker took my wallet.
Can't stop here. This is bad country.
It was headquarters. They wanted to... They want me to go to Las Vegas at once. Contact with the Portuguese photographer from the circuit. He'll have all the details. All I have to do, check into my soundproof suite. They'll seek me out. What do you think? Sounds like real trouble. You're gonna need plenty of legal advice before this thing is over. Oh, yeah. As your attorney, I advise you to rent a very fast car with no top. Mm-hmm. And you'll need the cocaine. Tape recorder for special music. Acapulco shirts. Get the hell out of LA for at least 48 hours. Blows my weekend. Because naturally, I'm gonna have to go with you. And we're gonna have to arm ourselves to the teeth. Well, why not? I mean, everything's worth doing. We're doing right. This is the American dream in action.